Today we sat down with Michael Ward. He recapped us on the LSU Clemson game that he was at this past weekend. He knows plenty of information about the political arena, the tariffs going on, and we discussed his side hustle, Lowside Golf, and really enjoyed the conversation with him, and I hope you do the same. All right, we're live. Michael, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. I listened to a few episodes and think you guys are doing a good thing, so I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
I saw you at the LSU game. How was that?
How was it? First time to Clemson, so it's always fun to go somewhere new. I've been fortunate to go to some pretty big SEC matchups. That's not what that was, but a place like Clemson definitely usually high on the bucket list. So it's really
close,
good.
though.
Yeah, the people at Clemson were really gracious, really good hosts. We didn't deal with any foul play. Sometimes you can run into that. And first game of the year, two teams that don't play each other very often. I think both teams were hoping to get off to a good start, and so it was pretty friendly. Obviously a pretty good football game. Always fun to be on the right side of those. Traffic getting out was bad, so you get home at 2 a.m. and wake up at 7 to catch a flight. Doing that after a loss, which I've done that before too, isn't nearly as fun as doing it after a win. So it was a really good time. Fun to be at.
What was the environment like? Because like you said, you've been to SEC, which is the cream of the crop. Where do you kind of rank that? Because on the TV, Clemson always pops.
Yeah, and I will say this, Clemson's away section is not good. Like, you're so high up in the upper deck that during the game, you could tell it was a moment where it was loud or that it was getting loud, but you weren't really, you couldn't really hear it because you're almost above the noise. Whereas I've been to some other places where you're in the lower bowl kind of, and then when you're on the road, it's like the noise is amplified, right? When you're the home team and you're a part of the noise, you don't really realize how impactful it is. So we didn't quite get that, but I mean, 88,000 people, primetime game. It was a good game. So yeah, every third down, you could tell, hey, it's rocking in here. I thought the run down the hill was actually kind of cheesy. I was really excited to see it.
Especially seeing Dabo lead the way. He sprints down there.
Yeah, and like it almost feels a little high school-y.
He's so
like,
hateable too.
They don't have a locker room, or at
corny.
least for running down the hill, they don't. They have to ride a bus.
Yeah, you're right.
From like their ops building. So it's just like kind of tacky. You're just watching these buses and then they build it up and they run down the hill, and they can only do it in like waves of 3 people because they're all going to like blow out an ACL or an ankle. So it was like a really big buildup. And then I was kind of like, oh, that kind of fell flat a little bit. But Clemson's a team sometimes I pull for. Dabo does some things like you said, but it was fun to be there. Yeah.
What's the craziest environment you've been to? Probably an LSU night game.
I actually talked about, well, I mean, it's easy for me to say that. I've been to some pretty amazing games. The last 2 LSU home games I went to were walk-offs. I mean, how often do you get a walk-off in a football game? Not often. And the last 2 I went to were literally plays in overtime that ended the game. And so those types of environments are hard to beat. I talked about it at Clemson. The best road environment I ever went to was 2010 LSU at Auburn with Cam Newton. And he had his Heisman moment against LSU in the game. He had like a 65-yard run. He broke 6 tackles. He literally stiff-armed Patrick Peterson into the end zone, like 7 yards. And that place went bananas. Like they played DJ Khaled, All I Do Is Win. And the whole stadium had those pom-poms, and like I just remember looking around like, this is so cool. Even being on the wrong side of it as a fan, if you like college football, like that's what you want to experience.
That is cool.
Did you watch the SEC documentary that when it came out on Netflix?
I didn't know where they followed the teams last year. A couple of people asked me that.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I probably should. A lot of it was focused on LSU, and like I already knew the results. But I'm sure the behind-the-scenes stuff is quite interesting.
It is. It's great. I really enjoyed it.
Especially with NIL, like maybe just getting to learn a little bit more about how they navigate that. Because college football is obviously so much different. But
right.
Yeah.
Life in the SEC is so crazy, man. What a huge win for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, he was on the hot seat. He definitely needed it.
Almost everybody's on the hot seat in the SEC. Seems like right when you take over. Look at Kalen DeBoer. His seat's on fire.
Yeah, that's like, the worst job you could ever take.
Right.
It's kind of like following up Osborne at Nebraska. Like, even if you won, you can't win.
Right.
So nobody could be Nick Saban. I don't even know if modern football will allow it, college football, but he obviously had a secret sauce that it's not the program, it was the guy, right? And
Saban had, they would get the best players in the country, and then he would get the best players in the country to play like their life depended on it.
Yeah.
You watched Alabama last week, they looked slow, they looked unmotivated. It's just a very different Alabama team now.
Somebody said it might have been Josh Pate, was like that was an Alabama team that got beat in the trenches, and like you can't say that about many Alabama teams in the last 20 years. I kind of like it, right? I've been on the wrong side of that for a long time. So, I think it's just the times are changing a little bit, or at least it feels like it.
Think of the Saban run of Alabama. The running backs were consistently more famous than the quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is so rare, but that was the truth at Alabama. All those running backs that went through Alabama were always more famous than the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, so Saban and Les Miles were kind of cut from the same cloth for a long time. And as an LSU fan, there was a time where Saban realized, I think he brought Kiffin in, or Sark in, I forgot who was first, as his offensive coordinator. And it was his realization of like, okay, we can't win anymore just like two tight ends, I form or ace formation, and running the ball 60% of the time. We've got to spread it out a little bit. And he did that and Les didn't. And once he did that, he still had a really good defense. But then you saw Alabama run a more spread, more modern offense. And that's when they Georgia, Clemson all kind of took off at the same time. And because Saban had a bad year, I can't remember, where he did kind of rely still on his kind of old offensive play calling, and then when he switched, they just kind of kept up with the times, and Les Miles definitely didn't.
No. KU fans know all about that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, coaching in the SEC, there's probably 4 coaches that are probably safe, that are legitimately safe. Heupel, Sark, Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby.
Everybody else is like,
maybe
you're on the hot seat at
Missouri's,
all time.
I don't even know who Missouri's coach
Yeah.
is.
Drinkowitz is probably
safe.
He's probably safe. Maybe Beamer. Like, I don't know what South Carolina could truly expect. They looked really good the other day.
But look at like Billy Napier,
Right.
Kalen DeBoer, whoever's fucking coaching at Auburn, Hugh Freeze.
Arkansas.
Basically everybody else.
Yeah, Arkansas.
They're constantly on the hot seat. Brian Kelly stubs his toe next week or any week from now, he's right back on the hot seat.
Do you think if LSU had a bad year, they'd fire him after the end of the year?
They can't afford to. I mean, this year I think was always still a unreasonable to fire him season. Even my prediction was if they won the Clemson game, they'd go 10-2, and if they lost, they'd go 8-4. I still stand by that. I'm not going to overreact to one good road win on the road. They looked really good. They played really good on defense, which is what's been missing. I mean, you had Jaden Daniels 2 years ago and lost 4 games, so that was driven by the defense. The LSU I grew up with is like win with defense, and it kind of felt like that again. So I think 10-2 is probably like a ceiling still. I would take that.
10-2 gets them in the playoff.
Right.
Exactly. But to your point, were they going to fire Kelly? No, I think the expectation this year is like, you've had enough time to do all the things you said you needed time to do. There's no more blaming it on, what you took over. Your goal here should be to get in the playoff. And I think that's the expectation for this year.
You think Bama will fire their coach at the end of the year?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, again, they pay these guys a lot of money up front, right? The agents have really done a good job. I mean, we would owe Brian Kelly like $65 million.
Yeah, I think
and
63.
We're still paying Ed Orgeron like $42 million. So the state of Louisiana's got a lot of people with a lot of money that like football, but at some point it's not reasonable.
Right.
I'm sure Alabama's the same.
Yeah, 63 to buy out DeBoer. I saw that today.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it would have to be a true train wreck, like maybe like a Florida State type scenario last year. And again, it's week 1. It's like the week where everyone overreacts or underreacts. Like let the season play itself out.
True.
and we'll see what happens. But yeah, if they go 6-6, I mean, their fans, they don't know how to handle that, right?
No.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, I know. It'll be crazy.
Yeah, that's always fun. I'm glad it's back. At least we're talking about it.
Me too.
I know. So you're in logistics, freight stuff. Is that right?
I'm in specifically global logistics.
Okay.
So,
You probably watch the political theater pretty close.
Yes and no. Kind of have to. And we have subject matter experts on our team that their job is tied to a lot of those decisions. It's so hard to keep up with. And a lot of it is just hour by hour, day by day. And so you can't really get too far ahead of yourself. But yeah, when stuff breaks, in terms of news breaks, definitely paying attention. And not really as much for political theater for myself, but like just understanding the impact to my customers and who do I need to relate that to or relay that to so that they know what the impact is to them at the end of the day.
When new tariffs or trade restrictions come down, what's something that normal people don't understand that obviously with you in that line of work, what do we miss, or what's a misconception that us normal people we just see a tariff and we kind of move on with our day?
Oh yeah, good question. So I mean, you have to break that down, right? So every country has a duty placed on its products, right? So if you bring in televisions from a certain country, it has a duty percentage that's been applied, and maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%, whatever it is. And then the tariff is like a country-specific action against that country to increase the total duty and tariff obligation owed on that country. So I think number one, people hear the word and don't always know what it means, right? They see a country and they see a percentage, and that's what they react to. And I think the biggest thing that people don't understand is like, one, how might this affect me, right? Like if you're watching the news and you're hearing that the president's going after a certain country, maybe that gets you riled up for one reason or another. But like the question is like, how does this impact me? Am I going to pay more at the grocery store? Am I going to pay more at the hardware store? Am I going to pay more at the retail store, right? Like at some point, these things have a trickle down effect. I think a lot of times people maybe don't see that until it affects their wallet or their pocketbook. And then the second thing is just like, who pays for it, right? So like you hear like China's paying for all these tariffs or XYZ countries paying for them. I mean, go ask a small business owner who imports who's paying for them. It's not China writing the check. It's Joe who owns a company that's doing $10 million a year in revenue, and he employs 30 people and he sponsors the high school, football program, and his business is being impacted because he's paying the tariff. And so I think a lot of times maybe it's just a misunderstanding of one, what the tariffs are, how they work, and then two, probably who's paying them. And then three, how does it affect you at the end of the day, when you go to the store?
Is the American importer paying across the board 100% of these tariffs that the public thinks these foreign countries are paying, or do some of these foreign countries actually pay the tariff?
It's not quite that simple. So foreign trade is bound by term. It's called an Incoterm, right? So I deal with this every day, but there's basically a term of the sale between the party overseas and the party in the United States that says who's responsible for what charges. And some of the terms, some of the Incoterms do place the burden of the duty responsibility on the shipper, right? So that term is called DDP. It literally stands for delivered to your door, duties paid. So in that case, the shipper is paying for the transport of the goods and the duty and tariff obligation on the goods as well. So in that case, the foreign country would be paying it, right? Now, they may be baking that into the cost of goods that they're selling you the product at, so maybe they're just working around it. But the more common Incoterms actually place that burden on the importer themselves. So there's two of them. This is really in the weeds stuff, but FOB is a very common Incoterm. It means the importer takes responsibility for the goods at the foreign port of departure. So if I'm bringing in T-shirts and I get them made in China,
the shipwrecks.
If the ship wrecks, it's on me. Like, right. If I didn't pay for insurance, I took the risk the second those goods loaded on the vessel while it was at the port in China. Well, then that also means you're responsible. You can't clear the goods while they're over there. You can only clear them once they get, and by clear, I mean clear through U.S. Customs, which is when the actual duty and taxes get applied. And so on an FOB shipment, you would be responsible for paying the duties and taxes. And that's most common, right? So that's where kind of I mentioned the understanding of who's paying. On an FOB shipment, the U.S. company is paying. So all they saw was their costs go up, right? They're still buying the same product. They're probably paying the same cost of goods on that product. Let's just say it's $100,000. Mm-hmm. And before, their duty amount on $100,000 was maybe 2.5%, right? So now you paid $100,000 for the goods and you paid $2,500 for your duty and tax obligation to the U.S. government. Well, now that same product with China may have 75% between duties and tariffs placed on it. Well, now your $100,000 PO just cost you an extra $75,000. So you're at $175,000 versus $102,500. That just cost you $72,500 more for the same product you've been buying for however long.
What do you think these importers are doing? Are they continuing buying from China? Have they looked at, other countries that have less restrictive tariffs? Are they looking internally for the product? Like, are they going out of business? Like, what do you think they are doing?
All the above. So it's a good question. It's a question that in tariffs specific to China aren't new, actually. So in 2018, which is kind of when I was cutting my teeth in the industry, importing's kind of been, status quo for like 40 years, right? Like you bought stuff from China. There was a few times throughout the year where the rate went higher for the freight, but I mean, you knew what your product cost, you knew what your duties were, and you knew what you sold it at, so you knew what your profit was, and boom, off you went and grow your business. In 2018, and the first time Trump was the president, he implemented what was called Section 301 tariffs, specifically on Chinese products. And so it basically qualified every product code at either a 7.5%, 15%, or 25% tariff on Chinese goods. So this started in 2018 with China specifically. And at that point in time, there was a huge reaction to it, right? Because costs went up significantly. And a lot of importers then, not enough importers then asked themselves the question you just asked, which is like, where else can we go? Can we go to India? Can we go to Vietnam? Can we go to Italy? Can we go to Brazil? That's all changed this go around, right? Like, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Now that people have seen, holy cow, this has impacted me again and at greater percentages, I think everybody has taken a China plus one strategy is what kind of the industry term is. So, I mean, China does so much. There's some things you can't get away from. But where you can, people have taken a China plus one strategy or a China no-go strategy at all and have moved elsewhere. But that goes into a whole nother conversation around, I mean, the tariffs on other countries have shifted since April 9th, all over the place. And so some people made that decision, thought they got ahead of the curve, were for a little while, and now they're dealing with the repercussions on that new country in terms of tariffs, and they're no worse for wear, or they're fighting the same battle. So, it's just a hard time to be somebody who relies on an international supply chain when you don't really know how to forecast your business.
Have you seen, and maybe you don't see it, but have imports gone down drastically? Have they remained the same? Yeah,
so it's quite interesting. The analogy I used for a while when explaining it is like, imagine you had a bunch of gumballs in a glass jar in your kitchen, right? Maybe it was a 1 gallon jar filled with gumballs, and that 1 gallon jar represented China, right? Like, all those gumballs were tied to China. And a lot of like the China plus one strategy initially was you still have enough gumballs to fill a gallon, but now it's spread out into like 5 different jars. So you still have your China jar. It just moved gumballs into the India jar and into the Malaysia jar and into the Vietnam jar. And so a lot of it just shifted where the country of origin was. And so the imports kind of stayed steady. There's a lot of things that people can't bring back to America right. At this point in time. Like, maybe one day we get there. There's probably a lot of things you don't want to bring back, right? Like, I think high-tech items are things people aren't trying to find a way to get here. But if you're manufacturing metal castings that make, wheels or something, do you want that plant near an elementary school or near your city parks? Good luck getting that passed through city council and the county commission and everywhere else. Right. So that's kind of getting a little bit off course, but I mean, yeah, so it's shifted a lot of where imports have gone. So the numbers have moved a little bit, and then now just the uncertainty has certainly led to a reduction. So it's actually quite interesting. In April, they announced a ton of tariffs, and then about 5 days later, they paused a lot of them as well. And so it led to an uptick in imports. Actually, that was circumstantial. It wasn't like really truly demand driven. It was driven by like, we're going to try and get ahead of this because we don't know what's going to happen after the pause ends. So we actually saw a huge uptick in volume about May 15th through about the end of June, where it was just people front loading goods that they didn't actually need now, but they were just trying to take some precaution against September, October, November. Because
just keep a high inventory.
At least at that point in time, they knew where they stood, and they might not know where they stand here in the coming months. And so we rode that wave too, right? Like our business, it went straight down when the first batch of tariffs got announced, and then all of a sudden everybody was ordering more than they normally would, and it's certainly leveled off. But the volumes overall have fallen significantly.
Does it seem like these political decisions, seems like they always create headaches? Do they ever create opportunities?
I definitely won't pretend to be like some political expert or like economic expert.
Sure.
But I'm boots on the ground with importers and customers who get impacted by these things every day. So I tend to look at it through that lens. I think, yeah, absolutely. Right. So I send out a market intel to people that I do business with and people that I don't do business with. That's almost like a state of the union for the week. Like, hey, I just want you to know, here's what happened. And it may not actually be what you can depend on for how things are going to go next week. But as of now, like, here's what we know and here's what I think you should know. And you'll find like sometimes just that, if you have, so an opportunity, I guess I'm looking at it through the lens of me as the service provider. It's an opportunity for us because it gives us an avenue to be a trusted partner and a trusted advisor. Does it give importers or business owners an opportunity? I don't know if I could speak to that as well because I'm not oftentimes looking at it through their lens of how they're running their business, but I definitely look at it as an opportunity because it's allowed me to have deeper relationships, moving freight from anywhere around the world to Kansas or anywhere else where we have customers. Like, I like that. That's fun. That's what we do. That's our core business. But to say it's not difficult isn't fair. It is difficult, but that's a lot less difficult than a guy who runs a business that employs 50 people that has to break down his whole planning for the quarter, the year, and he's trying to reanalyze everything. And maybe they're, working with our trade. We have a trade compliance director on our team. I mean, he's a trade attorney and a licensed customs broker. And so we do consulting projects with companies where we've been able to help them say, hey, you're actually not taking advantage of this in a compliant manner, right? Like everything has to be above board and compliant, but they're kind of operating their compliance program willy-nilly, and we've been able to come in and offer some consultative advice where it changes, the numbers. And you get to a level like that with an executive, that's a little bit different than moving freight, right? That's the easy stuff. But you start helping people, in a manner that impacts how they run their business and their P&L. You can build some deeper relationships. So for us, it's certainly been an opportunity. It hasn't been fun. I mean, I wish we didn't have to do it, but it's allowed us to have really deep conversations and impactful conversations, and in some cases be helpful.
I bet you 1 out of 10 people know who actually pays tariffs. Like if you were to sample the whole entire country of the U.S., I bet 1 in 10 people know that it's the American importers. When they see 75% tariff slapped on China or whoever, they're just thinking, if you're pro-Trump, you're thinking, heck yeah. If you're not, you never like anything Trump does. But I don't think a lot of people understand that in a lot of situations, it's the American importer who's getting screwed here.
Yeah, I mean, can Blake pull it up? But look up what's called a CBP 7501. And there's a reason I'll show you this. I mean, it's for that exact question. The nice soundbite is like China just paid for $284 billion in new, duty and tariff revenue. It's like, well, let's break that down. What part of that was DDP? What part of that was FOB? So if you go to the images on this and just click any one of them and then blow that up. I mean, this is what every importer who imports anything into the U.S. receives. And on this document, I mean, it shows you...
an ad.
I just can't see it from over here.
Try that one that's highlighted that says LinkedIn. So that's fine right there. Like that tells you at the bottom right where it's highlighted what the total duty and tax obligation is. So I think that one's like 8140 or something.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 8149.
And so at the top of this document, at the very top, it would say importer of record. And, if it's a company on South Rock Road, their address is on there, their EIN is on there. They owe the government that money. I mean, and when the government asks you to pay a duty and tax obligation, there's no, hey, not right now. Now's not a good time. Hey, we can't afford it.
They're not asking you. They're telling you.
You owe this, right? And if you don't pay this, you get placed on holds pretty quickly with demand letters pretty quickly about what you owe. So, I mean, you look at something like this, right? 8,149. There's companies who were getting a number like that for 25 years, and now that number's $68,000 for the same product. So, wow. The American importer, the importer of record on this document, is who pays those charges.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It seems like small businesses are always the ones that are caught holding the bag.
100%. And that's my favorite companies to work with. That's the majority of our business. That's kind of who we target, right? And they get hit the most by this, right? They often can't afford, Ford and GM
They're
and
often
Pfizer.
they're often right on the margin.
Right. They've got trade compliance attorneys and people doing this in-house to figure out, they're staffing people at a payroll that no small business could afford. And so even just getting consultative advice from us on an hourly basis is often, not in their budget plan. And so the small and medium sized guys have really had a tough time navigating this, and it's super impactful.
How do you think Amazon and Walmart and big companies like that are playing this? Are they raising their prices? I mean, prices might have been getting raised. I haven't noticed anything, but I'm not very observant. How do you think they're playing this?
Well, so you bring up a good point there, which is like to answer the question around when will you feel it, right? So you haven't felt it yet, but you definitely felt it during COVID, right? Like, so you saw what happened during COVID where the price of many things increased. Like a lot of things at that point in time was tied to some of the Section 301 tariffs that got implemented in 2018. And then also just the cost of freight went up like, 5X, 6X. And so...
And they pumped $1 gazillion into the economy.
Right. And so the market kind of reacted to it then. And I think you haven't seen it yet. I think like all this is happening in real time right now. And one thing I've always said, which is cool about our job, is like we get to play Monday morning quarterback and look back on these things, and then it's like, oh gosh, I should have saw that coming, because right now we're dealing with all these importers who are navigating what we just walked through. But how they then change their MSRP pricing or adjust so I have a customer that on August 18th, they got hit with a steel and aluminum tariff that they've never paid before. Their duty and tax obligation went up about $50,000. And the first thing she said was, we can't take this. We have to pass it on. And literally, we sat on the phone in silence for like 90 seconds. They were just digesting it. And the guy in the background, who's a partner in the company, said, we've got to start calling customers. So we can't take this. We'll find a way to work with our customers, right? They don't want to just totally throw it on them. But I mean, the tone of that was like, we got to call our customers to tell them this is unavoidable, which means my customers' prices were going to go up, which means the end customers' prices were going to go up. And that's all B2B2B until it's B2C. And then one day you guys feel it somewhere. And so they were bringing in steel related products, but that's just one example of, all this stuff that ends up on a shelf. A lot of it has a life that started somewhere else.
All these small businesses have so much on their plate, and then they've got shit like that just dropped on them. Is that preventable? Do you think that's preventable?
Is it preventable? in the current environment, I don't think so, because nobody knows what the environment's looking like until it gets passed down. And it's happening on like a minute by minute. There's no like forewarning, right? So how do you prevent something that you don't know is coming?
Right.
I think preventable and prepared are maybe two separate things. So like, again, if you have the resources or understand the importance of like, I need a full trade compliance. If you go to LinkedIn and type in trade compliance director job openings, and you ran the data and looked last year at the number of openings, I guarantee you there's 5-6x now the number of postings. Those people are in high demand, right? Like if you're a trade compliance professional right now, you can get a job anywhere, because all of these companies are thinking about things they didn't have to think about before. And the risk is so great, right? If you do it wrong, it's not a vendor you did it wrong with, it's the government, right? And so the risk is there as well. So I don't think you can prevent it, because the decisions come from the administration, but you can be prepared for how you react when they happen.
Really is crazy that all this tariff BS falls on the Americans. Like, it's really a tax on us.
In a lot of ways. I mean, I'm sure there's some ways where it is beneficial, right? Like there's definitely things you probably don't want being sourced from overseas, right? Like, again, I'm talking about middle market type customers who run businesses that do anywhere from 5 shipments a year up to 5,000. I guess that's maybe like a small and medium sized business niche, but there's people a lot smarter than me making these decisions too, and there's probably plenty of good somewhere, right? You do turn on the news all the time and you see automotive factories bringing back billions of dollars of development to Tennessee or South Carolina. Apple's bringing production back. So there's probably levels to it as well.
True.
And so I don't think it's fair to say it's entirely an attack on the American public. I think consumer goods, like, for sure, you're not going to start making backpacks in Bel Air, Kansas, right? They're going to come from Asia or from Turkey or from India. They're going to stay overseas. But there's probably things from a national security standpoint, and again, way above my purview, but there's probably plenty of things that you don't want, to be dealing with tariffs on, or more than that, being exposed on. And so there's probably some good incentive to bring a lot of those things back here.
I bet COVID flipped that industry upside down, huh?
The global shipping industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was really crazy. So COVID, I remember exactly. I was getting ready to get on a flight to go to DC. I think it was on March 17th, and I got the notification that it was that wasn't gonna happen. And the first reaction in our world, in the global forwarding world and supply chain world, was like, nobody's gonna order anything. Like, the rates dipped, everything went down. The tone was like really negative. Like, importing's gonna collapse. People can't travel internationally to meet factories anymore. Nobody's gonna import anything. And then I remember this. I have a slide that I used to show people that was like, these are the headlines from the last 12 months, and the first 3 months were how negative it was. And then from June on of 2020, when everybody was sitting at home and couldn't go on vacation in the summertime, they just clicked the buy button for every single thing, right? Buy a new cooler, buy a new grill, buy new shoes, buy a new tennis racket. And then it was like, oh man, we don't even have enough inventory in the country for everything that's being bought to fulfill the orders. So buy it all from Asia, buy it all from Italy, buy it all from Vietnam. And then the rates went sky high. I mean, the ocean freight rates went from as low as they could go to, at one point, to get a container into Kansas from China, which historically averaged about $4,500 to $6,000. The highest I saw a customer pay was $25,500.
Wow.
Damn.
And that was purely a supply and demand driven uptick. I mean, there was just so many people quit spending money on services, right? You couldn't go out to eat. You couldn't go on vacation. You couldn't go to the movies. You couldn't go play putt-putt. All those things went away. But people didn't change how they spent their discretionary income. If their discretionary spend was $1,000 a month, and prior to COVID it was half and half between products and services, they still spent $1,000 a month and maybe even more during COVID. They just shifted it all to product. Well, to fill, where the difference came from, that was all stuff that wasn't there. You couldn't have planned, like these companies couldn't have planned because their forecasting from the past was based on data that you couldn't have predicted what COVID was going to do. And so it just created the supply chain crisis, which is when, there were people who had goods in China ready to go, but they couldn't even get it in a container and on a boat. And that's why the shelves were empty, right? There was, you could go
toilet
to any
paper runs.
Right. And
Yeah, people were hoarding that shit.
Yeah.
Had me using my socks.
You're not still doing that, are you?
That's between us.
Yeah. Okay, good. I hope we don't go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
Crazy
yeah,
times.
really wild times. And selfishly, like to answer the question you asked, like that gave us, we started our business in the middle of 2021, right in the middle of all that, because importers were having a really difficult time with their providers, where it was like the market was tough and it was hard to get a provider to call you, hey, Michael, I need 6 containers. It was really easy for vendors who didn't feel like they had control to say, I'm not calling that guy back. I can't get 1 container for my current customers, let alone 6 for a new one.
Sure.
And we saw that as opportunity. It was like, hey, we can't get you 6, but we will scrap and claw and do everything we can to try and get you 2. And we would go back and say, hey, I can get you 2 at this rate. And people were so in demand for it, they'd be like, take it. And then we just keep, hey, I know it's tough out there. I know you have partners. How many do you need? How many are you getting? Well, we need 20. Okay, I can get you 6. So boom, we just scrape. So the analogy we use is like, we were like the 6th man on a basketball team that is like the guy probably won't score any points, but he's going to dive after every loose ball and he's going to like impact the momentum of the game. That was our philosophy when we started the business. We knew it was never going to last. Like eventually we had to try and be a starter.
Sure.
But our philosophy early on was like, just be the scrappiest person out here to help these people. And one day they'll remember like, hey, these guys were in our corner when
Right.
times were tough.
Right. Think about the learning experience you got in customer relationships during that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Think of the wealth of knowledge that you have now that you can use for the rest of your career.
Even just the knowledge of people, like people in crisis.
Yeah, sir. It's I haven't really, I'm a very like in the weeds person. So like I'm very kind of day by day. So it's kind of fun to reflect on it. Not that the timing was fun, but yeah, to your point, it's like, it was like getting your MBA, on the fly in 6 months.
Right.
And just from the sense of like true trial and error every day. I mean, we were staying up. I was working like 6 a.m. to 2 in the morning, and talking to guys in China, and we did every aspect of the job, like things that I don't want to do now and things that I didn't do before, but like to get it done for our customer. When you start a company, right, and like, if you don't bring customers in, you don't get a paycheck, right? Like you'll do whatever you have to do. And so in those early days, we wore a lot of hats, we did a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's fun to look back on. And then now things come up and I know how to handle it. I know who to go to. I know who's reliable. And so it definitely was valuable in that sense.
Total baptism by fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we wanted it, It was like, I would not have operated that way had I worked for my previous employer, right? Like, because I worked at UPS before, and there was too much bureaucracy, too much red tape, too much siloed between who could get what done. And so like, because we were doing it on our own and because we had some influence, it was like, even though it was crazy and chaotic, it was also empowering because it was like, it's up to me and it's up to us. And then we get to tell the customer that like, hey, we will literally bust our ass for you. And if we can't do it, we can't do it. But I promise you I will try. And you tell people that, and then you come through for them, or even you come back and say, I tried and I couldn't do it. Like we were able to build some relationships that are pretty foundational, and then build some confidence too. And it really just gave us like a good starting point to start the business. And fortunately at the time, that was never the intent, was like to continue operating in that environment. We knew it would never stay that way. But it gave us like a good starting point, and it was really just rooted in the customer need. That's kind of what we're all about.
You started in 2018 doing that? Is that right?
I started in what we do now, which is global freight forwarding. I started in 2018. I had been exposed to importing in a variety of roles since 2016. So I had been in or around products that were moving from overseas to the United States now for a decade.
Do you look back now on the COVID time, and obviously it was hectic, but do you look back on that as a blessing to your career that you had to go through all that? You were able to improve on weaknesses probably just because of baptism by fire.
I think it's like a good metaphor for life in general, right? Like you don't learn anything when it's easy. You learn when it's hard. And there's a ton of turnover in our industry. Like there's way easier sales jobs where you can make similar amounts of money that don't require talking to people all over the world at all hours of the night, right? The rest of the world is awake while we're asleep, and so it never shuts off. Global freight never shuts off. And so a lot of people left. And again, for us, that was opportunity. You kind of talk about it. It's like, okay, people are weeding out, and it's hard to be a rep in this industry at this point in time. But the longer I stuck around and stayed in the fight, I felt like, okay, I'm just, my axe is getting sharper and sharper. I'm getting better and better. I'm more and more confident. I know more. And yeah, so to your point, I'm certainly grateful for it. I've always been grateful for hard times, even though when you're in them, you're like, I'm ready for this to end. But yeah, it was great learning experience.
Yeah, no doubt.
It'll be interesting to see where we go from here, just as the years go on.
Yeah, I mean, the current president won't be the president forever, right? So maybe it's hard to see that in this period of time, but like I mentioned those tariffs in the Section 301s in 2018, the Biden administration didn't remove them. So they got in place by President Trump, and then they stayed in place throughout the whole Biden administration, and then they're still in place in the current administration. And so it's like all these actions can be changed by administrations, and administrations have change. And so what happens in 2028?
Right.
Do they keep them? Do they change them? And so it's hard to stay patient in the interim, especially if you're an importer being impacted by these things at tremendous numbers. But like, we don't oftentimes go backwards, especially with numbers. Once you bring them up, it's hard to bring them down. But we'll see what happens, the next time a new president gets elected.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you said, we'll just have to see.
Or what keeps happening with the current administration.
Yeah.
Things come out every day, every week, who knows?
Well,
who knows?
This is far from over. So, I mean, the China right now is on a pause. So on August 12th, they had a 90-day pause that was reviewed. And on I think it started on May 12th. So it went May 12th to August 12th. And then August 12th, they announced another 90-day pause. So China specifically is on pause until November 12th now, where he might wake up on November 13th and say China tariffs are 100%. And so to your point, it's like, yeah, how do you plan for that right now? You can plan for knowing that the pause ends on that date, but what happens beyond that?
Sure.
It could also come the other way. What if they bring them down back to 10%? And now you're like, man, I imported a bunch of stuff that if I would have waited, so how do you make decisions within that?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, India, right? So you asked about people leaving China. A lot of people left China, especially for industrial goods, right? India is really good at apparel and like heavy industrial. A lot of people left China and went to India. India didn't have a tariff for a long time. And then in April, they had a 10% tariff. Every country but China got 10% in April. So a lot of the people that moved to China or moved from China to India were like, okay, India used to be 0. Now it's 10%. That kind of sucks, but it's better than what my old China rate would have been. Well, on August 12th, India went from 10 to 25%. And on August 27th, India went from 25% to 50%.
Wow.
So now you changing from China to India, that was beneficial for, 90 days or so, is essentially the same as the same tariff you'd be paying on the stuff out of China. So, and think about the cost of that, right? You had to spend time to find those factories. You had to spend time to get the samples. Maybe you flew over there and spent time and money to visit the factories.
Working in big corporations, nothing moves fast. That had to be such a pain in the ass to switch vendors and then just to get the rug pulled out from you right at the end.
Yeah, and like maybe you go to Malaysia this week and in 30 days, Malaysia's at the same percentage. So it's just it's a lot of unknowns, and it's hard to run a business on unknowns.
Right. There's probably so many different departments those decisions have to go through when it comes to switching from, a Chinese vendor to an Indian vendor.
At the big companies, for sure.
Yeah.
At the small companies, and it's like sometimes a lady.
Right.
She became the purchasing manager in 1984 because they bought some fabric in, Wentzville, Missouri, and 30 years later, she still works there, and now she's responsible for 17 factories all over the world. And so at a company like that, it's just her. And, so think about her burden, right? She's trying to deal with people halfway around the world. She's not visiting those places and
can't pay her enough.
Yeah, it's just
to be taking that on.
It's tough. So those are the companies we like working with, because at least from an advisory standpoint, like, we can make an impact. We can kind of become their in-house vendor, where it's like, we're truly a partner of yours. Let us at least take most of the burden off of you, because you have a million other things going on.
Yeah. No, that's really good insight that, normal people like Troy and I, we don't understand because we're not in the industry. So
hell no.
No, that's great insight.
I'm kind of a nerd. Like, this is, one, what I do every day, but two, I like it. So
good for you, man.
It's I think I do have a good perspective oftentimes of realizing, like, most people don't see the world this way, but
right.
I always say this, like, every product you buy has lived like 7 lives before you get it off the shelf. And I think the rest of the world thinks there's like a portal behind the shelf where it just like morphs out and shows up. And it's like, no, man, everything runs on planes, trucks, boats, and trains. And if it's a physical product, it's lived the life before you've bought it.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
I wanted to switch to what you're doing with Lowside, man. That's a really cool brand. I think I
got a couple shirts.
Yeah.
Recently posted about it. Where did it start for you?
So Lowside is kind of like a part of my global freight journey as well. I started Lowside, which is a lifestyle golf apparel company and brand, in 2017, July of 2017. And it was really just like kind of a simple idea. At the time, it's not like this anymore. Social media, one, has made it like so easy to build a brand. The three of us could start something tonight, as long as we got a good videographer, a good photographer, and can build a Shopify store. We could start selling orders and fulfilling them. So technology's made the barrier of entry to any product really, really low.
Yeah.
But at the time when I started Lowside in 2017, there was not many brands that were making golf themed apparel that was casual. So there were a couple. There was a company called Travis Matthew, which I'm sure Troy's wearing it. There was a company called Link Soul, which was doing it. And these companies were like very coastal rooted. So it was all rooted in like kind of surf golf culture. So they took like the surf chill with the golf theme, and they had built brands around it. And I was like,
perfect shirt for me.
Yeah, exactly. So this plays into why I started. It was like, I was wearing North Face stuff that said like never stop exploring, or like, go hiking. And I was like, I live in Kansas. I'm not hiking Pikes Peak all the time. Like, I just like this stuff because it looks cool, but I don't embody like the brand in and of itself. And so I was trying to find golf stuff that was like I wanted a golf shirt that I could wear to take my kids to school that wasn't Ralph Lauren or a collared shirt.
Yep.
And there just wasn't a lot of them. So I just started my own, and then other people kind of felt the same way and started buying stuff. And so, yeah, it was kind of a fun journey. My full-time job is global freight forwarding and Ardent Global. I just fulfilled some orders last night for Lowside. It always still surprises me when somebody hits buy, but it's been a really fun run for 7 years. I've sold product in 47 states, 4 countries, multiple country clubs, did private label. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's been a really cool experience. And again, just learned a ton about business and, building a brand.
Have you met some people you wouldn't think of that you would have met through starting Lowside?
Oh, absolutely. That's the coolest part. Honestly, I've been asked to play golf all over the country, and have in some cases with people who I wouldn't have met before. I have, saying friends would be a loose word, but like, I messaged a guy in Clemson that was a customer of Lowside. Like, hey, are you going to the game? I knew he was a Clemson fan, and he wasn't. But like, if he was, I would have gone and shook his hand and said, hey, and we would have built a relationship. But you've played in it. I host Birdies and Boyle every year, and like
about that
is to me what I always wanted out of it was like, how do I create this common theme that people are interested in that just brings people together? The coolest story of Lowside is a buddy of mine got stopped in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport because he was wearing a Lowside hat. And a guy tapped him on the shoulder and was like, hey, how do you know about that? And he said, well, I've known Michael. Like, we went to middle school together. I've known Michael forever. And he was like, oh, man, I love this brand. Like, I found it online, and Michael wrote me a handwritten letter when he sent me the order. And so he was like, man, I just want to say, hey. And I was like, that to me was so cool. It was like, because of the brand, he went up to you and said, hey, and like, then they have a connection too, you know? So for me, that was always the coolest part, is just like people being kind of connected through the brand.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about the Birdies and Boyle. Is that a scramble?
So Birdies and Boyles, yeah, it's a 2-man scramble.
We're taking the 14 handicap, by the way.
Yeah. It's a 2-man scramble. I hosted so it's an evolution when I'll give you all the details. When I was in college, during Masters Saturday, my dad used to have a crawfish boil. And I would invite all my friends over, and if the weather was nice, we would put the TV outside, we would boil crawfish, and everybody would eat crawfish and drink beer and then watch the golf tournament. And then when I started Lowside, the first year was literally just an evolution of that. It was like, I'm just going to invite all my friends, and then like 10 people I didn't know signed up as well. That first year we had 34 people. We did it the Saturday of the Masters. We did a crawfish boil, and we played a 2-man scramble in the morning. It was freezing. It was like the day before it was 75, and the wind shifted overnight out of the north. It was like 42 degrees, freezing cold. Everybody showed up. Everybody played. Like one guy drove in from Tulsa, another guy I didn't even met these guys. They had just bought in Lowside stuff, followed it, and signed up and came and played.
How cool.
Oh, wow.
And
that is cool.
They all played. My dad boiled the crawfish. It was the Saturday of the Masters before Tiger won on the Sunday. So that Saturday, I think he shot 5 under and made his charge.
Oh, in 19?
Yep. And so everybody was at my house watching it. These guys nobody had met before, like, just blended in perfectly. And when everyone left, they're like, I don't really know why, but that was so fun. Like, and I think as you get older, right, like it's harder to have a day like that where it's just golf, eat outside, booze if you want it. You know, it was just like a good day. And so I was like, man, we'll just keep it going and keep it rolling. And so, yeah, I host it every year. And the right of first refusal goes to people who've played in the past. So I take care of them first. And if it fills up, it fills up. But after that, it's first come, first serve.
How many do you expect this year?
I try to keep it. Last year we had 72, and I think like 72 to like under 100, I think is a good number. It gets a little crazy when you have over 100, and we do a big after party usually at now a friend of mine hosts it. He's got a little better backyard set up than me, but yeah, if we get 72 guys again, I'll be happy with that. Maybe a little more.
That 2019 Masters, man, was so fun. That's probably the greatest sports comeback of all time, was Tiger coming back and winning the Masters.
One of them, yeah. If you like sports or if you like golf, I mean, sometimes sports kind of transcends the moment, I think. And like that was one where
that was a huge moment.
Like I remember where I was.
Yeah.
I watched it with my kids, right? And it's like they don't understand this. But it's like, man, you know, I grew up watching Tiger from the time I was their age, and now I have kids that age, and he's still out here winning. You know, it's just like a cool moment. You couldn't, whatever your opinion is of Tiger Woods, I think you probably couldn't watch that and not feel like a little bit happy for the guy. It's a good redemption story.
It's an ultimate redemption. What is it? 16, that par 3 where he stuck it and he rolled it just by.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. There was Phelps in the background. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Michael Phelps is like leaning, watching it close, and Tiger sticks it so close, man.
There's a really good documentary on that, and one of the guys said for all these years, and we haven't gotten enough of it. Like we needed like other instances to where there was an opportunity for something like that to happen. But for all these years, all these guys like 10 to 15 years younger than Tiger said like, yeah, we want to be in the hunt with Tiger on Sunday at a major. And it's like, no, you don't. You think you do, but when you all collapsed. Like the only guy left standing was him at the end.
Yeah.
And theirs were all like pretty self-inflicted.
Because I think wasn't Brooks and maybe
Koepka hit it in the water.
Francesco Molinari
hit it in the water.
Yeah.
Finau hit it in the water.
Wow.
Koepka had a putt at the end that if he would have made it, and if Tiger had done what he did on last hole, it would have forced a playoff, but he missed like an 8-footer. So, yeah, it's just one of those things like, do you really want to get, in the mix with Tiger when he's at his peak? Because the guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
It is crazy how great Tiger Woods was, and it's awesome to see how good Scottie Scheffler is, but it's even better to see that compared to the greatness of Tiger Woods. Because I was watching golf today, we're like, how do you get better than Scottie Scheffler? The amount of wins and the dominance that Tiger Woods stacked was probably untouchable to me, considering how good Scottie Scheffler is and does not hold a candle to what Tiger did back in his prime. It's amazing.
I think it's the longevity. So, like, Scheffler's at a crazy pace, but, like, can he keep it going for 7 years, 8 years?
Right.
If he does that, maybe he might be like, whoa, we never thought somebody could do what Tiger did, and Scotty might be able to do it or get close. But they were saying that about Spieth, too, and
Yeah,
the wind kind of went out of the sails a little bit. It's hard to keep it going for that long. Golf, especially with these kids these days. I mean, I volunteered at the 2017 U.S. Junior Amateur, and like 30 of the kids that played in it are now on the leaderboard of every PGA Tour event. Like Ashke Bhatia was playing in the Junior Am at Flint Hills in 2017. He's winning PGA events. Minwoo Lee. Like, all these guys are just so good. There's a kid in Andover now. His last name is Esterline. He just won the Junior PGA. Like, I think he's 14.
Oh, wow.
He shot like 17 under. I mean, the kid is a beast, and he's 14 years old. Like, imagine him in 6 years. So it's just gonna as golf has got more popular, right? More kids have taken it on. The talent level has just risen, and so if Scotty can keep it rolling, that's gonna be impressive, because there's a lot of people that are super talented and they're getting younger and younger.
The game's growing.
Yes, it is.
Like, you see, like, LeBron. LeBron's out there golfing out and commenting on when Scheffler wins. Like, that was never happening 10 years ago.
Yeah, golf's had a huge boom. The COVID supported that too, right?
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I've golfed my whole life, but you used to be able to show up at a golf course at 6:30 p.m. on a nice day like today and walk right onto the first tee box. I mean, that's not happening anymore. You better have a tee time 3 days in advance. So there's some pros and cons to it. For an old golfer like myself, maybe see some of the cons every now and then. But yeah, for the state of the game, golf's blown up. And like, it should. It's communal. You can do it outside. It's challenging, right? So if you're somebody who likes to work on a craft or get better at something, it gives you an avenue to do that. You can do it with your friends. You can do it with strangers. So, golf provides a lot of great avenues to connect with people and do something that's relatively fun.
I'm pumped for the Ryder Cup, man. It's going to be fun. It's at Bethpage.
I'm going.
No.
You are?
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm going
What day?
On Saturday. So
God, that's awesome, man.
I'm going for
Where
visit.
is Bethpage? What is it, in New York City, or is
It's
it
in Long Island, so
Okay.
it's just a little bit east of the city. So it's gonna be really fun. We were going to take a customer to the Masters this year, and he ended up having a surgery that was during the week of the Masters, so we didn't go. It was supposed to be a customer thing, so we were like, we're not going to go without the customer. So we sold our tickets, and then we're like, well, what else could we do? So we're taking 2 customers to New York for the weekend, going to Bethpage, and then we have a partner of ours who's from the UK, who he's coming, so he will be pulling for the Euros.
Wow.
And he'll be hanging out with us. So I think it'll be a good time. We're going to hang out in the city Friday night and then go to Bethpage on Saturday.
I saw a clip of Rory talking smack. I think
Yeah.
I saw that this morning. He said something like he was telling the guys that one of the biggest achievements in golf, or maybe the biggest achievement in golf, is winning a Ryder Cup on enemy soil.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw the other Rom and all the other guys were hooping and hollering.
Well, I mean, golf is a very individual sport, and so to get an environment where it's team driven, it kind of changes the dynamic. And so I like the Ryder Cup for that, because it's totally different than I'm going to go out there and try and shoot my lowest score.
It's fun seeing the pairings too. Like,
Right.
we'll get Scotty and Bryson versus Rory and Rom.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how fun is that?
That's great.
And there's strategy to it, and I think sometimes they like overemphasize the captain piece. Like they give him a ton of credit if they win, and the guy's still got to hit the
I
shots.
thought Keegan was going to play.
I think he made like a really like mature decision.
He did.
Right?
He
Which
did.
is he took like the ultimate leadership, fall on the sword. I want to play. I'm worthy of playing, and I could play if I want. But I'm gonna choose to be the leader, not the not 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Right. Good for guys like Sam Burns, though. He had a good year, man.
LSU grad.
Yeah, he did go to LSU. He was on a national championship team at LSU.
Didn't know that.
they
Because
won.
he's good friends with the pitcher for the Pirates.
Skiing.
No, skiing.
Yeah. They were there
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, he was a little bit before. But yeah, Sam Burns, LSU guy.
Good for him on making it, because I think he was the last guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, did you see the phone call where they
Yeah.
called him?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine getting
I didn't
that
see
call.
it.
It's pretty cool.
Oh,
Was that cool?
Keegan
video?
calling Sam Burns? Oh, that's pretty cool. Just
I mean, you
You're
can
on
just
the
tell
team.
the
Yeah.
emotion, Yeah, a lot of guys probably wanted to get picked that were on the line that didn't get picked. So
Do you know the team?
yeah, they announced both Europe and American teams. They're set.
Oh, here we go.
Burns, Cantlay, Bryson, Harris English. Ah,
Harris English is American. God,
Ben
I
Griffin,
guess he's a Brit.
Morikawa made it. Shoffley, obviously. JJ Spawn, good for him. He's had an awesome year.
No Spieth.
Scotty, obviously.
I
Not
wonder
that he
if
deserves it.
JT was
JT
a captain's pick.
JT's probably a captain's pick for the vibes. Cameron Young had a good year.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. I'm excited to go.
Yeah, that'll be an experience.
Yeah. God, the Europe team is so deep. All those guys are so good.
Oh,
Aber,
we're
Fitzpatrick,
losing.
Fleetwood, Hatton, Hovland, Shane Lowry,
Auburn killed us last time as like a 19-year-old.
Rory, Rahm, Rose, Justin Rose. It's just a stick.
Dude, Sepp Straka's in it all the time. He's always in the mix.
Justin Rose had an awesome year, too. He is so consistent. Mm-hmm. God,
Yeah, he's been a pro for 20 plus years now. I mean, I remember when
he's got such a sweet swing.
he was the low am at the Open Championship, I believe, at Carnoustie when he was like 19, and then he came on the scene, and yeah, he was always kind of a stud, and then he's just gotten older and kind of had a few down years, and he's right in the mix all the time now.
Yeah, he's had an awesome career.
To be honest, I don't watch a lot of golf anymore. Part of it, I think, like I was drawn to Tiger. When Tiger was playing on a weekend, it was always like, is there a little magic that might happen? I got to tune in just in case. Mm-hmm. And then the whole live thing, people can make choices. The free market is the free market. So like, I'm not one that's like anti-live or anti-PGA or vice versa, but I think that's definitely hurt the tournaments because you just have a pool of guys that have some like if
Bryson.
DeChambeau
Right.
and Rahm and Koepka at the Memorial were all in it with Schauffele and JJ Spawn and Justin Thomas, like that's a little more intriguing for me to watch than going to play golf myself or working on the yard or whatever. So I really don't watch a lot of golf anymore.
Yeah,
The big tournaments, but
I don't know if the live's gonna last. It seems like I bet Bryson ends up back on tour. I bet a lot of these guys end up back on tour because I don't think the live's taken off like they thought it would. I don't even know where you can watch the live.
yeah, I don't know either, but
It was on YouTube for like at least the first year.
They can do it as long as they want.
yeah, they've
though.
got deep pockets.
Yeah,
which
for sure. But I don't know. I think a lot of the big names are gonna go back to the tour.
They might.
We'll see. Yeah, it would be good for golf.
Yeah.
if they do.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, man, Troy, you got anything?
I don't.
What else you got?
Michael, what do you got for us? Anything?
Just keep it up, man. Again, I've been a listener before coming on.
Thanks.
So I like what you guys are doing. I appreciate the opportunity. If I can help in any way with a guest or somebody I know, let me know.
We got some people in mind.
Yeah, I can pull an arm here and there.
Are you when is the scramble? Are you if you're looking for team members? If you want to plug that.
The
feel
scramble. I mean, feel free to reach out. So at Lowside Golfwear on Instagram is probably the best place, or lowsidegolf.com. You can find some info. The scramble is on October 18th, which is a Saturday at 8 a.m. And again, I give right of first refusal to past players. It won't fill up with past players, but I'll get a good chunk. And then if there's room after that, we'll let people join. So shoot me a message, reach out to me. And happy to have more newcomers. The more, the better.
At McDonald, right?
At McDonald Park. Yep.
Awesome.
Always play well there.
Oh yeah, same.
The original Wichita Country
Nah.
Club.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that from Troy.
Yeah.
And I think I've probably learned that from you.
Do you know what it was before it was Mack Park?
No.
College Hill Park was the original Wichita Country Club.
No kidding.
Yeah, maybe like 1905 to 1912 or something. Literally,
Hill Park.
College Hill Park was a golf course. The old original Wichita Country Club clubhouse is a house in College Hill.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
How neat.
Damn, that's cool.
And then the city sold it, or Wichita Country Club sold it to the city park board, I want to say in like 1951 for $1, I believe, to make it a municipal golf course. And then the country club moved to 13th and Rock Road where it is now.
Wow.
So, but when you play Mac, you can, and if you've ever played the country club, they have like similar bones. You know, obviously one's way nicer quality wise than the other, but you can kind of tell like, oh, got it. This definitely has some similar vibes to the country club.
Wichita's got such a unique history. We've had a handful of people in here at this point that have known a lot about Wichita history, and then you bring up that point. It's a unique town.
Yeah, I think, you start asking questions and you start hearing things, and probably most towns our size have something similar. Somebody knows something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Mm-hmm. My dates might be a little bit off, but I'm sure somebody in town, knows all the details about it. And another cool fact, Rolling Hills out west is the founding golf course of the LPGA. So there was 11 women who at Rolling Hills Country Club established the LPGA and the LPGA Tour.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so I think this year is the 50th anniversary of that, or a anniversary of that in some capacity. So, another fun fact about Wichita that's golf related.
Another course I notoriously play well at. Not.
I don't think I've ever played Rolling.
It's a nice course if you get a chance to play it. It kind of feels like you're not in Wichita when you're out there. It's kind of built near that, what's that creek called?
Cowskin.
Yeah, Cowskin Creek. So it's got just a cool layout. Cool feel.
For sure.
Gotcha. Well, awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Had a blast.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you October 18th.
See you October 18th. Bring your A game.
Yes, sir.
We won't.
All right,
Thanks,
boys.
Mike.
See ya.
See you later.